Welcome to the Healing Spirits Here and There podcast with Terri and Amanda. Join us every Friday. Like and subscribe to never miss a show. And let's get started.
Good morning. Happy Friday. Welcome to Healing Spirits Here and There podcast. I'm Terri.
I'm Amanda. And today we're going to be talking about out-of-body experiences and specifically astral projection too, which is a type of out-of-body experience. And I've done this just naturally since I was a kid. And so I've always been really fascinated with the topic and have a very kind of lively dream world where I do lots of astral travel. And so I just think it's such a fun and interesting topic.
I didn't really pay attention to the astral travel stuff when we were talking about doing it compared to out of body, or but it's very similar. It's almost hypnotic, but easy to do, apparently.
Well, I think it can be easy to do, but I don't really think it's easy to do per se. I think there's a lot of people who try and do it and just don't have the knack, but there are things that you can do to help yourself. And for those of you who don't really know what an out-of-body experience or astral projection is, we'll just go over a short definition. So an out-of-body experience, or OBEs, it's commonly referred to, is a phenomenon in which a person feels a separation between their consciousness and their physical body. During an OBE, usually individuals often report a sensation of floating or hovering outside of their bodies while still maintaining their self-identity. This can be spontaneous, but it can also be induced through various techniques and practices, such as meditation, which we'll talk about, lucid dreaming, or astral projection, which I would say when you're lucid dreaming, then it's easy to astral project because you're aware of what's happening. And then if we want to talk about a definition of astral projection specifically, it's where individuals believe they're consciously leaving their physical bodies and entering a realm known as the astral plane or the astral realm. So it's a really interesting topic, and there's many, many books about it. And me personally, like I was saying earlier, one of my very first experiences I had was an out-of-body experience. And when I was, I think, 12 or something like that, and I saw myself sleeping. And as soon as I saw myself sleeping, I went right back in my body. And then it's like almost electric. It's like such a big thud. And then I opened my eyes and I was like, what the heck? I'm like, I was literally just looking at myself. And, you know, Terri and I talked about this previously, and I was saying, so at a very early age, I was like, wow, I exist outside of my body. And so that really opened my mind up to a lot of spiritual concepts where it was easy for me to grasp, because I'm like, okay, well, I know there's a world outside of being inside my body. And so it's easier for me to accept that, say, for example, when people pass away, I feel like I know they still exist because I personally still existed in a state outside of my body.
Cool. Yep. True. That makes perfect sense. I know the feeling that you're talking about. They're getting sucked back in your body. I have a certain time frame where it usually is the best for me. It's like if I get woke up in the morning with an alarm clock, but it's not your day, so you shut it back off. Then it's in the morning and I go back in. Then I'm more in control of knowing that I'm doing it because I've already had the sleep. But several times Les has woke me up in the middle of the morning. I'm sitting up in bed and I'm doing stuff. And he's like, what are you doing? But I don't know. He's talking to me. And then he gently lays me back down. Well, then the cats will jump on me. And then I jerk out. So, and it's happened so many times in meditation or early in the mornings that I am confident that's when I'm leaving. And they're like, oh no, I got to pull her back in here. That's what I
Yeah.
think.
It
Because
stinks
it's
to be
always
woken up.
Mhm.
It's the worst. You're like, "Oh my god, I was about to fly off to wherever."
If the phone rings in the morning and it pulls me out, I'm
Mhm,
like, Terry,
mhm.
I was just at blah blah blah, right?
Yeah.
So
I was
yeah.
just about to go to wherever, yeah. So, for those of
Mhm.
you listening that are wanting to have more experiences, what Terry is saying that after you usually it's easiest to astral project out of your dream once you've had most of your sleep for the night, because say you wake up at like 6 or 7 and it's your day off and you get to sleep a little bit longer, your consciousness is more awake now. So you can go back to sleep, but your mind is more aware. So it's easier for
Mhm.
you to know that you're awake while you're sleeping.
Mhm.
And Terry, do you consciously know that in a dream that you're dreaming and then you go, "Oh, I'm dreaming. Now I can astral project." Or are you finding yourself just being in that state where you're flying around doing stuff,
I
or how's it
think when I
happen for
was
you?
younger, I don't think so. Not when I was younger. And like I
Mhm,
said, I didn't even, when we talked about this the other day, I'm thinking, I don't do this. But when I
mhm,
started reading this stuff, I just never really put that word to what I do. I just thought, yeah, I leave my body, I'm out, peace out. I think I must do it a lot because I always wake up extremely tired. I think it's learning times.
mhm,
Um, when remember I would last year I was sick and I was down for about 5 weeks and I couldn't I had the COVID and I couldn't stay awake, but there was a lot of sleeping. I mean, like 20 hours. So there was moments to where I literally was meditating and I went to when we were talking about it today, I started really looking back at it. That one was the most angelic time I ever had because everything I seen was in white shimmery light. I saw a tall ship in the sky. I was on this huge white cloud and then I knew I'm like, I
So
can
did you
almost
know
touch
you're
this.
sleeping or you're meditating?
I knew that I was in control of what was happening because I
Okay.
was like talking. I don't know who I was talking to. I think I had to have been talking to myself because I kept saying, "Oh my God, I'm doing this. Oh my God, I'm doing this." And then there
Mm,
was this white eel, a water eel
mm,
that was circling this white ship. I'm calling it a tall ship, but I called it a Viking ship. And then Les
mhm,
said, "Oh, that's called a tall ship back in the
mm.
day." And then right before I said, "No, I don't want to go." And then all of a sudden, this huge white seagull just went right past me like this. It scared me and I jerked and I realized, oh my God, I was there and I was in control of it.
Mm,
But not a lot of those.
gotcha. Now I've been lucid dreaming and astral projecting for quite a long time when I was young too, right after that out of body experience. The first time for me that this ever happened, I was dreaming, just a normal dream. And in the dream, my mom was in some crazy car accident and
Mm-hmm.
she was barely hanging on to life. And I thought, this is not happening. Like, this is so crazy. This cannot be real life. And then so I'm in my dream having these thoughts like, this is not, I don't believe this. This is not happening in my life. And I was like, am I dreaming? Because this is not real. And then I was like, I think I'm dreaming. And so I don't remember like what I did to confirm that I was dreaming, but I was like, okay, I'm awake in my dream, and
Mm-hmm.
so after that, it's been really easy for me when I am dreaming. I have something that always happens. This is going to sound so funny. If I see my ex-husband in my dream, I know I'm dreaming because I don't ever see him, right? So I go, as soon as he's anywhere, I'm like, oh my God, I'm dreaming. I can do whatever I want. I'll just fly away somewhere. Or
Yeah.
a lot of times my cell phone isn't my cell phone and the buttons don't work and stuff. And so I'm like,
Mm.
as soon as I see that, I'm like, oh crap, this isn't my phone. I'm
Mm.
dreaming right now. And so that's kind of how I get to
Mm-hmm.
first the lucid dreaming. And then after I realize I'm dreaming, now I can astral project. And
Mm.
so that's when I can go, okay, I'm going to go to the moon. I'm going to go to the top of a mountain. I'm going to ask to meet my guides. I'm going to XYZ. You can do so many things. And once you know you're dreaming, you can meditate. And that really, oh my goodness. I tried meditating once I knew that I was dreaming, and it went from like dream world to like realer than this world. It like,
Mm-hmm.
and then once you're in that, at least when I am, sometimes it can be really hard to maintain that level of frequency, I think, because it gets so intense and it's so real. Realer than here, honestly, like the colors I see, the conversations I have,
Mm-hmm.
then I wake up and I'm like, oh, I'm here. It was so much more exciting there. I mean,
Why'd you bring me back?
why'd you bring me? I mean, not that
Yeah.
I don't want to be here, but it's such a different experience. Like I've gone places that feel like enchanted, like the colors
Mm-hmm.
glow. You know what I mean? They're more
Shimmer. Mine
intense
shimmered.
than here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I also will go to different like cities and they have banks and they have animals and stuff like that, but they're all slightly different, like the
Mm-hmm.
dogs don't look exactly like the dogs here. And so I don't know if they're like different cities in a
Mm-hmm.
different realm. But it's all very interesting, and out of body experiences are for me a little bit more challenging. There was one house I lived in Snohomish, and it was on 3 acres. I wasn't really around anyone. So it was a really, I feel like, clear environment where it wasn't full of people's thoughts and vibrations and whatever. It was just very peaceful. And when I lived there, when I was falling asleep, I would purposefully try and get out of my body. And so I'd wait till I just am really like relax and you can feel yourself. And then I try and move my inner spirit and pull out of my body. And I could do it very successfully there
Mm-hmm.
at that house, but I have not been able to do it in other places that I live. So I do think location can be very important to
Mm-hmm.
doing certain work like that.
Mm-hmm. There's some of the stuff that I read that having your being in the right place in your mind, body, and soul is
Mhm,
that you're not tired or that your health is good.
mhm,
And I had to argue that one because when I was sick and I was getting better and I wasn't sleeping as much, but I had no energy. I was meditating 2 and 3 times a day. I was getting 3 and 4 hours a day meditating. And every
mhm.
time I would get something, but I wasn't well. But I think that
I've
it was,
never
and
heard
I,
that before. I don't know why that would be important.
to have your health, it's not, it just says to be healthy. I read it tonight.
I
Um,
know. Well, one person saying that doesn't make it true either. I'm just saying I
that's
don't know
true.
why that would matter.
Right.
Like in your
Because
example.
I didn't feel good. And
Yeah.
I think the reason why it worked is
Mhm.
because there was nothing else going on in my world except for me having to reset.
Right.
I called it my evolving time,
Mm, mhm.
but I did a lot of meditating then. And I got it.
Yeah.
Now I don't know what you'd call it, but I had an out of body experience or astral travel, and I was flying, and I'm always using my arms as wings. I'm
Mhm.
always like this. And sometimes I feel like I'm sinking, like I'm going to not be up in the air anymore. And I
Mhm.
think that's when I'm trying to wake up or something's trying to wake me up. And then I feel like I have to do this with my arms some more to get up there. But one time I was flying through a parking lot. I knew exactly where I was. I knew exactly what was going on. I
Mhm.
maneuvered myself to it. I said, "Oh, let me go over here and see if this is true." And I saw somebody I
Mhm.
knew, and they were doing something that they probably really shouldn't have been doing. And then the next morning, or later when I woke up, I said something to the person that would have been involved with this, and they thought that I was lying and making it up. And 2 hours later, questioned the person I had seen, and it was true. It was true.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure what we want to call that one, but that
Mhm.
was probably my big, big, big one.
It's the same thing because that's something that people can do is you can project yourself into other places, see what's going on. And you can experiment with that. And I've done that before. I
Love it.
experimented to go see someone and I wanted to know what they were doing. And they were having a conversation about going to college. Just a very normal thing. And I don't ever see this person, so I didn't get to confirm it. So maybe I didn't do it. Maybe I made that up, but it doesn't matter. You can practice that. And I just think it's a really good way of getting to know yourself and having self-reflection and feeling powerful and knowing that there's something beyond this world and there's something beyond you and me and everything here. There's so much going on beyond just here. When I lived in Snohomish and I was able to do the out-of-body experiences easier, I would get out of my body. I could see myself sleeping. It was very disturbing. I could see my partner sleep. I tried to wake him up. My hands went right through him because but I tried. I'm like, hey, maybe I can wake him up. I tried to move things in my bedroom. I couldn't do it. My hands would just go right through him. And then so I went to go out my door. My hand went right through the knob. So I was like, okay, that's stupid. I'll just walk through the door, which I could do. So I just did that and went outside. And there was someone standing in the driveway. And I was like, that's odd. And so I went up and talked to her. It was a lady, and I suspect she was doing the very same thing I was doing. She was just standing there. And when I looked up at the sky, there were 2 moons. And so I thought that was really interesting too, to think that maybe when we're in these other realms or we're outside of our body, maybe our spectrum of what we can see with our eyes is different. Maybe you can see more of maybe what's really there. I don't know, but there were different places. And when I talked to some people, it wasn't speaking, it was telepathic and just really interesting.
That makes sense because that's how I think heaven is. I think if you don't need to speak, you don't have to have a body form. I think you're allowed to. If you want to, you can do what you want. If I want my body, then I get my body. If I want to be an energy glow, then I'm a glow. But I believe that. I believe that. I think I have a lot of, for most of my life, I would always say, whoo, that was deja vu. Wow, that's deja vu. And looking at it now, I might have already seen it happen, but didn't recall it. So I would say if you have a lot of deja vu, you might be doing some of this stuff.
Or having maybe dreams where you dream of the future and then you have like little bits and pieces and all of a sudden go, wait, I've seen that before. I don't know. That happens too. Yeah, so that's a different thing, but some people do that as well.
I do that.
I do that too. I don't do it as often anymore, but
I used to have friends that would be missing something. I hid my keys when I was drunk so I wouldn't drink and drive. And, this was in my 20s. I was probably 22, 23. And I'd say, okay, I'm going to go take a nap. And when I wake up, I'll tell you where your keys are. Yeah, okay, Terri, that's good. And every time I do it, not even knowing then that I was even a medium. Not even knowing. I just thought it was a cute, trick. It's kind of cool how we look back on things that we were doing that we didn't even know we were doing.
Like, wow, that's just part of who I am, I guess.
But that's good because we talk about some of this stuff and it sounds stupid to some people who are listening, or maybe someone says, oh my God, I do that. And then it makes you look into it a little bit more.
Oh, did you hear something?
Nope.
Okay. So some of the...
What did I say when that happened?
I don't know.
I got well, I don't know what I was talking about, but my body got goosebumps all over it. And then my head kind of got lightheaded and I kind of wanted to give attention to something or someone. And so that's why I was saying, what was I saying? When you edit, let me know what I was thinking. Sorry.
You didn't give your attention to whoever it was, so you don't know. Okay.
No, because it was embarrassing that it took me out. Sorry.
or interesting.
We are.
So I was going to say one of the things that I did many, many times over the years, and I wonder if anybody else is doing this, is that when I'm dreaming, I will be going to a school with other people who are flying around. We all know that we're dreaming. We all know that we're going to school, and we learn really weird stuff. Like you learn like one of the first, and it's in a classroom setting. And like one of the teachers was this Native American lady, and she was really cool and really tall, and I've never seen her in real life. And she was telling me, like, we have classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays or whatever. And I was like, while you're dreaming, it's on specific dates? That's so weird. But let me get back to the example. So in one of the classrooms, the first one I remember, and by the way, I said, I love coming. And she says, you don't eat meat, so you can't make it here as much. And I was like, what?
You don't
And
what?
she said, you don't eat meat, so you can't get here as easily as other people. And I was like, really? What? Well, I'm not going to start eating meat to
Just to
come to class
go.
more. Like maybe I don't get into, I don't know, deep enough sleep or something. I don't know. But anyways, one of the first things I remember, the first class I remember having is we're all sitting in a bunch of chairs. There's probably 20 people in this class, and we're just sitting in our chairs, and the teacher's talking. And then they bring, I talked about this before. A bunch of people come in and they stand in front of us, in front of our chairs. And they said, you have to be able to recognize when someone is bad, even when they look good. And so the person standing in front of you, and the closer they get to you, the more like a monster they look. And I remember being frightened and just looking up at this person like, well, what am I supposed to do now? And I remember I hid under my chair. And part of the lesson was, I think, maybe seeing through people's facades or something, I don't know. It's like really weird training that we get in these classes. And so I'm really curious if any of you viewers have any like school that you go to at night while you're sleeping, because this is one of many, many classes. And I know the kids that are in the class. I don't know them in real life, but I recognize them there. And I used to journal everything about all the classes, but I just think it's so interesting. And maybe it's like part of your soul group or something. Maybe you all go to classes together. I don't know, but
It's astral school.
it's astral school. Yeah. Yeah, I have a
I don't
lot of
know. I
weird
know that when I
stories.
listen to the grandkids and sometimes when they've dreamed, oh God, Mia, oh my God, she will go into a story like no other. And it's a long story. And it's funny because sometimes it's a dream. She's telling me a dream and
Mm-hmm.
she knows too much information and it's long.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to her, what? That's a very long story. Are you making this up? She goes, it was in my dream, Maja.
Mm.
Well, I recall my mom, when I would tell my mom, not as a child, but as an adult, when I would say, oh my God, Mom, I had this dream and blah, 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 and details and colors and stuff. And she'd say,
Mm-hmm.
how do you remember all that? She goes, I do not dream. I've never
Mm-hmm.
dreamt, and I don't remember my dreams if I do.
Hmm.
I couldn't imagine not dreaming.
Mm-mm.
But I do see that things are sometimes different in my dreams or astral projection. Example, white is silver, you know, those type of colors. They're not, I see, oh yeah, there was a white and blue helmet. No, when you ask the person in real life, that's a precog. But when I ask them, he says, no, 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 my helmet is blue and silver.
Mm.
Not knowing why I'm asking, but then I'm like, oh, so I don't always see that like it is.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
in a reading, I don't normally see colors. Like when it comes to a dog or a cat, I don't see, but colors come out of my mouth.
Interesting. Hmm.
So it's just different on how we see things. Do you see the colors that are actually that color?
I mean, I'm just visiting a place,
Right.
so I'm just seeing whatever is there.
I
Um,
visited my grandma once.
mm,
She was sitting around drinking tea with a bunch of older women, and they were just talking and talking, and I kept talking to her and talking to her, and she couldn't hear me.
mm.
And that's when I knew, I'm thinking I had to be like astral traveling or something, but I don't know why she couldn't hear me. Like, I don't understand why she couldn't hear me.
Well, what if sh was she astral traveling too?
And she was dead.
Well, maybe she wasn't in the same, like, realm as you or something. Maybe you could see her, but she couldn't
Yeah,
could she see you?
I could see her. I went through a door, and then they said,
But
"Don't go in."
could
She
she
couldn't.
see you?
She looked at me, but she wouldn't speak to me. I was
Mm.
like, I was talking, Graham, and
You
then she could
know,
see me because you could tell she's looking at me and smiling, but there was no
mm,
words.
there were many, many times I've seen my sister, and she never speaks to me, and my
Mm.
sister has passed away, and so, I don't know. Maybe it's a thing for a certain period of time or something. Because I can't imagine that would be forever,
Mhm.
but it's many times, and she would never speak.
Hmm.
It's weird.
I have spoke to her since, like heard
Mhm,
her, but
mhm.
that one time, that was way, way, way in the beginning when she passed.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking maybe in the beginning because I've had since experiences where I have talked to my sister, and so I'm thinking it's for a period of time or something, or maybe they're I don't know what.
Mhm.
But if you wanna try astral projecting at home, so something you can do, or out of body experience, so we'll talk about them separately. So, out of body experience is when you are still awake or maybe in a meditative state and you try to physically pull that part of you out of your physical body. And you can literally like lay your body flat and kind of hold it back, but at the same time, try and move like your inner energy and you try and pull it out. And the best time to do this is when you're feeling in an almost asleep state. I would say that's the easiest. Make sure that you're in an environment that's like clear and peaceful. And, I've read many things that say you don't want to leave your body unattended like that. I don't know how true that is that when your spirit leaves your body or however you wanna talk about it, that something else can jump in. I don't know if that's true. Okay, I don't know, but many articles talk about it. So,
They
say a
could be wrong.
prayer, just in case, cover
Protection.
yourself, protection, um, and when you're exploring out there, be careful as well. I've gone to some places where I was not welcome. And so most of the time it's easy to get right back. And sometimes people or things follow you. And so just be always aware of your surroundings and go like some local places first or go check on family members or something before you decide to go way out like I like to do. And now I'm kind of more chilled out with my exploring. Do you have anything to add for how to do an out of body experience for the viewers?
I don't know, because I always feel tethered to some degree, like like a Macy's Day Parade, and they have the big blimp up there, but they have the string that holds it so it doesn't fly away.
Well, you are connected to your body, and all you have to do
Right.
so if you are traveling and you get scared or you even think of your body, you usually go and snap back to it, and that's when you might get that thud or you might get, like, this electrical feeling. That's what happens to me. It's like a huge thud back into my body, and then you go, "Oh," you're like, "I'm awake. What just
Mhm.
happened?
What happened? Just what
What
happened?
happened?"
Did you feel
Mhm.
that? And he's like, "Feel what?" Oh. I would
Exactly.
just do protection, do a prayer.
Mhm.
Obviously, I would, from my own experience, don't have the pets around. Just don't.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
to
'cause
be
they'll wake
honest,
you up.
sometimes I find that in the mornings is kind of their snuggle time. And I'm like, oh, I got to get up. I know it's my day off, but I've got things I got to do. And then they're all right here. They're just all right here, and they're all purring. And I should record purring because it would be a very good meditation for me just to put it on, because it just feels very vibrational to me. So I like that. There is
that's a good idea.
There's not podcast. There's like on YouTube Music, there's certain sounds that help you go to astral traveling. And there, I think that you should like use it like in a hemi-sync way. So you have to do it in headphones versus speakers.
Are you talking about like binaural beats?
Yeah, that's for astral traveling.
I didn't say it wasn't. I was just asking if that's what you were talking about.
Yes, I would have said it, but probably would have messed up the word. So I used it in a different way.
That's fine. I just want to make sure. My suggestions for astral travel are to first find a way to figure out that you are dreaming. Number one, once you know you're dreaming, you have access to leave your dream and control what's going on, or go visit places, or go ask to meet Jesus, go ask to meet your guides. You can do so many things. You can try and figure out the answer to a problem that you're having in your life, during the day, figure that out. And so, but step number one is knowing that you're dreaming. So whatever you have to do, make a deal with yourself. Say, okay, I'm going to know I'm dreaming if I see XYZ. A lot of books and things say to look at your hands, and then you'll know you're dreaming. That never works for me. I don't know why it works for some people, but try and figure out a little sign for you to know that you're dreaming. So step number one, and then step number two, once you know that you're dreaming, you can just fly away and go somewhere, just fly up, look at the mountains, whatever, or you can think of where you want to go and you'll just go boop, and you might find that you're not in control of your flying. You go way too fast, or you go slow, or you run into the ocean or whatever. That's okay. The more you do it, the better you'll get at moving, and everybody is different. So maybe you'll travel a different way.
Well, I think it's really, when people say, I can't do this, it's hard. I would say it's part of seeing, like clairvoyant, right? I think it kind of interacts that way. If you're a good seer, I think it would be an easier. You are a seer. That's how you see things. You do meditation. You can see the stairs when you're walking down the stairs, and now you're on the beach. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. Those are hard for me, but it's not that I can't do it. It's just harder for me. I don't think I've intentionally ever tried, but I will now.
Yeah. And then the other thing to do, because like Terri said, if you wake up and go back to sleep, your chances are much higher. And so some suggestions are drinking a little bit of water to guarantee that you'll wake up to go potty in the night. So you'll have at least a wake up so you can go back to sleep and potentially have a lucid dream, which leads to the astral projection. I've also read that eating a banana before bed. I don't know if that's
potassium?
True. I haven't tried it. What?
That's potassium. And why would potassium?
Something. I don't know. I don't know. But anyways, we'd love to hear your guys' stories. I mean, there's so many. I have so many specific ones that are really amazing. Like when I asked to meet my guides, I literally did. And they gave me information that was super pertinent to my life at that time. They couldn't be specific. They're not supposed to tell me what to do. So they had to ask me questions and say things in a way that got me thinking. And so you can just get some really good information that way. And so I think it's good for everybody to try.
Yeah, that's a good idea. But I do better in the morning. So I think that's a really good thing. Okay. Now I'm going to change the subject. Okay. Remember, we talked about what was in the bag.
Yeah, on our last podcast.
Yeah. So unfortunately, Taryn played, but I told her, you don't count. But if you guessed right, I would give it to you, right?
And if you
But
guys don't know what Terry's talking about, on our last podcast, we said we would give a prize of a free reading on the podcast to whoever left a comment guessing what was in the bag. And a couple other things. You can watch it if you want to know, but no one
said a like
besides,
and share.
yeah. But Terry's daughter commented and nobody else did. So we didn't do anything.
Right. So what was in the bag is, it was my husband's lunch bag, was a bag of yellow balloons. That's all that was in it. So I actually wanted to bring them and show you, but you know what yellow balloons are in a bag.
Yeah. Okay. And I do have to apologize, you guys. It's been a really long week. I'm not super energetic, so sorry if I seem a little chillaxed,
you feel fine.
Or a little not energetic.
But no, you feel fine. It's just
no, I feel fine. I'm just saying I may not come across as very energetic.
And on another note, we talked about that we're going to take the summer and only do, what do we say, one a month until September. And we'll come back in September twice a month or whatever we decided we were doing. But the thing was, the big thing for me, if you go back to a couple podcasts, was manifesting me working in the studio. So that manifestation, however, is that's where I'm at right now.
Woohoo!
So I'm very excited. It took a long time, and I had to manifest that stuff coming. And then Amanda's doing the what do you call these things?
Dowsing rods.
Dowsing rods, and she's Facebooking me, telling me I did the dowsing rods. It should be about 2 weeks, and I'm like, I'm getting mad at her numbers because I want it now, not in 2 weeks. So, anyways, it came. It's here. As far as I can tell, I haven't had any glitches. I haven't seen any spinny things, and I'm excited. I'm excited to be in my space.
Yeah, it makes a difference.
Yeah,
a big difference. Well, good.
So, yeah.
Am I manifesting? I want a new car and for Noah to be cancer-free. And I already shared Noah is unofficially cancer-free. We have an appointment on July 5th to confirm if that's still the case. And then I have a auto loan all approved and everything. We just have to go test drive cars. But I'll tell you, test driving cars when you have a small child is hard because you can't bring them because you're not going to put the car seat in a bunch of different cars. So it's taking a little bit longer. But yeah. I'll be excited to get one. It's just easier to have a bigger car now.
Sure. In and out of that back seat. Mia's still in a car seat. I think she's right there. She's poundage wise, I think she's good. Height wise, I think she's like a quarter of an inch off of being into a booster.
If it weren't for my weight, I might still have to wear a booster seat based on my height.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool. It's a big
kids stay in seats forever now. It's crazy.
Yes, until they're 13 or in a booster seat. I'm like, you are out of your mind. Never mind. Let's not go there.
Let's not go there.
So it's been good. I'm glad we was able to get back together and do this, and just bear with us through the summer months because she's busy and I'm busy and we have to coordinate.
But it's fun to get together. So,
and I need you then to like and subscribe
and share.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Until next month.
From my heart to yours, I love you.
Mwah.